Hello and welcome to the ReNew View. I'm your host, Jewel Peterson, and this is a show where you get the inside scoop on our Bible study. I'd like to welcome you to the show and introduce you to our guests. As you can see, we've got a few new ladies here, and of course we have Glenda. You've already met her.
Oh yes. Hello everyone.
And then we have our new ladies here on the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Deborah Hudson.
And I'm Manifa Peterson.
And you probably noticed we have the same last name. That's because we're sisters.
Oh.
So it's a pleasure to have you all on the show today. And
Thank you to be here.
Yes. And we want to welcome everybody to our church here at the ReNew Worship Center in Marietta. You see the address there on your screen. We just want to welcome you out here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Come
the
on out.
word is
Come
rich.
visit.
Yes, the word is rich and it's changing our lives.
It is.
We want you to come on out. Currently, we are having service Saturday nights at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And just come on out. Like I said last week, come on out in your scarf, come out in your house shoes.
Just be comfortable.
Just be
That's
comfortable.
right.
That's absolutely right. So let's go ahead and welcome our audience as our pastor would, Pastor Taliba Durham.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. All
Good,
right.
good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what time you're watching.
Oh, that was good.
I took the gun on that a little bit.
Well, that's okay.
I was excited.
I don't think anybody noticed. We did really good, right?
Yeah, you're nice.
Well, great. Well, this week we've got a new little twist for you. What we're doing is we are going to be talking about some of the hot topics that you see in social media every single day. We're really excited about this because one of the things that our pastor does every single weekend is she really talks about the issues, the things that are going on in our lives, the current issues, and how to handle them, how to handle them God's way.
Yes.
And so we're going to take some time to look at some of these issues, some of these topics that you're seeing on TV. We're really excited because
We are.
these are the things you probably talk about on your job, in the cubicle, standing by the water fountain when you really should be working.
No, we
What
work.
you
We work.
talking about what you saw on TV last night? Oh, we work.
We work.
We do work.
Well, one of the best things about the Bible study is that it's interactive and we're allowed to ask questions that you normally don't have the opportunity to ask.
Absolutely.
And that's just wonderful to get all your answers to questions that you think that you'll never get answers to.
That's right.
So that's one of the best things that I think about our Bible study. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we wanted to first start off with was to talk about this Ebola scare. And it's a pretty big deal. And we all know it's a pretty big deal. You work in a place where disease is something that is a big topic.
We do look for disease.
Absolutely. And you're fighting against disease
We are.
every single day. And I'm sure Ebola comes up in the office because
we talk about it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but there's a big scare surrounding it. Is this scare legitimate? Should we be this afraid of it?
Well, I think there is a place for precautions, but we do know that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We're children of God, and although Ebola might be very serious, it's not something where widespread panic should exist, not among Christians. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying people just go crazy out there and don't use any wisdom. Continue to wash your hands, continue to be alert, but like I said, don't be afraid to go out your home because you're afraid. That's not what we're doing here. We're not afraid of the virus of that nature, but as Christians, we try to trust in God, but use wisdom.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
What would you say?
Well, I agree with both ladies. Absolutely, the healthcare system has a very good standard on how to deal with Ebola. As far as the general audience, just regular precautions. I think the main thing that Mother Hudson was saying is not to stay in a spirit of fear, but to trust God and to know that He has all things under control. I think we have definitely a different environment than what's happening in Africa. So I think that here, in terms of America, the healthcare system is they're very knowledgeable as to how to handle these things.
Right.
So we can rely on both of those.
We must also remember that we have to continue to pray for others and pray for those in those countries where they don't have a grasp on curing it or caring for patients with it. So prayer is the best thing that we
Yeah.
can do.
Absolutely.
And you bring up such a great point, and that's one of the things that we do in our Bible study.
Yes.
Our pastor's really conscious of everybody's probably got something on their plate that they need prayer for.
Yes.
So it's really fun because every time we come to the service, we have an opportunity for prayer.
Yes.
And we're also drawing names to pray for each other.
Yeah, wow.
So
Yes.
it's really
Yeah.
a full circle. Being able to pray for people and the importance of it, and we're in a house where she's very aware
Yes.
that we've got to be in prayer
Yes.
and intercessing for each other and intercessing for people across the world who are dealing with this.
That's true.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit here.
All right.
Women are laughing over here
Yes.
because we're going to talk about some of the juicy stuff.
Juicy stuff.
Juicy.
Okay.
Talking about reality shows. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So I'll be the first to say that every now and then, I'll flip by and I see somebody, getting a little upset about
Yes.
something, and
Yes.
it seems pretty dramatic, and it draws me in. Now I have the intention of watching for 5 minutes. But sometimes it gets to be 30 minutes, and then don't let it be a marathon.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. I've seen it all. But it's the reality of having to deal with
Right,
reality
reality
shows.
shows.
Right.
The thing about
Yes.
the reality shows is that there's not much reality in those shows.
Right.
When you say reality and keeping it real, I don't think that's appropriate for those shows because, as we were discussing earlier, they're mostly scripted.
It's mostly scripted.
So, it's kind of oxymoron. It's not really what it says it is.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I must admit, I'm entertained by the drama. I know you probably should be,
Right.
but it catches your eye and you get in tune into it. I watch, Love and Hip Hop. Sorry about that, Pastor. I do it to be relevant.
That's good.
It's entertaining, and I don't know. I guess in small doses is okay. I won't watch it, a whole marathon on it, but it's good to see what's out there too.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes when you talk about you're entertained by the drama, we have enough drama in our everyday lives,
We really do.
and those that we
Really
love
do.
and care about to sit and watch it on TV. So
Really do.
sometimes our daily practices just aren't good for us. We have to learn to recondition ourselves not to be entertained by drama.
Yeah.
I also watch TBN as well.
You just wanted to say that
I want to
for the
say it
record.
for the record.
I want to pick up on what Mother Hudson was talking about, and you were really referencing the family and just what you're digesting every single day. And one of the things that we've been learning in particular is just our focus. The importance. Where's your focus? Where's your mind?
Yes.
Is your mind on the daily things, or is it on the things that God is giving you and who you are? Are you
Yes.
making a commitment to that?
That's
Because sometimes we can be committed to the wrong things and lose the focus.
One of the
And-
good things about ReNew is that we're being retrained
Yes.
to do what is godly, what is right, to see a
Absolutely.
different vision.
Yes.
With our pastor,
Absolutely.
she hits it right on the nose when she tells us that we have to recondition our thoughts, recondition our behavior.
That's right.
And she gives us ways to do it.
Exactly. Oh, we're a tag team.
Hey.
I'm saying we're a tag team because she's talking about one of the ways to do it, and I have that in my hand. One of the things our pastor has done for us is she's actually made these little notepad packets for us. And as you can see, if I just turn it open, you can see there's a 1 there, there's a 2 there, 3, 4, and it goes all the way to 21.
Yes.
Okay, and so the whole idea here is to help you create a daily habit, that you need to have.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so if it's something that God is giving you a goal that you need to be taking the steps to do, your responsibility is to take this pad take one, boom, you have them up, and you
Yes.
take one off every single day.
I know.
With that feeling of,
Wow.
I've accomplished something.
Yes.
I'm getting closer and closer, and as I'm getting closer, and I'm getting closer to accomplishing my goal.
Changing our behavior.
Yes.
She's asked us to put them somewhere that we can see them every day, maybe on your bathroom
That's
door.
right.
And every day where your behavior or your habit, your bad habit that you want to
Yes.
be changed, has been changed for that day, you take one off. And
Wow.
Yes.
it conditions us to do better, to be better, to help us reach our goals.
That's right.
Yes, and she was saying the whole idea is that it takes about 21 days for you to create a habit.
Excellent.
So as we,
Excellent.
take off that one day, that sticker, I know I've done it at least one day.
That's right.
Yes.
Second day,
That's
take
right.
off another sticker. So after that 21 days, we have renewed our mind,
Wow.
Excellent.
renewed our habit,
Excellent.
and renewed our life in Christ. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
total
Yes.
renewal process.
Yes.
You come to this church, that's what you get, a total renewal process.
Yes.
You're renewed in your mind,
Wow.
you're renewed in your thinking, in your
Mm-hmm.
habits. Our pastor's really big on running. So we're really big
Yes.
on being renewed
Yes,
in the
he
way that
is.
we take care of ourselves
Yes.
and being healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. Okay, well let's do one more topic. Let's do
Yes.
one more topic.
Okay.
We're actually gonna have a special guest come on and talk about this topic, but let's talk about
Okay.
this big thing that we're seeing. It's happened in the sports world, but everybody is chiming in. We all know it's the one with Ray Rice and Janae Rice.
yes.
Yeah.
A real unfortunate incident where we saw on TMZ.
Every channel.
Right,
aired it.
right, exactly. Every channel. We all know where the young lady, was physically abused by her
They're
husband.
referring to it as the elevator incident.
The elevator incident.
Yes.
Absolutely
Yeah.
right. Big thing. Everybody was watching. Everybody tuned in to it. Everybody, weighed in on it. Some of your thoughts, ladies.
Well, basically, we thought that it was wrong as a whole. And the punishment that they gave Ray Rice, they thought was pretty severe.
Yes.
And now the commission is looking at another way, thinking maybe the punishment was too severe.
Right.
But we definitely agree that there should be some type of corrective behavior for an athlete who's conditioned as well as they are playing in the NFL, should not be allowed to exhibit that force on another, whether it be a woman or anybody at this point. But abuse is common with relationships and
That's right.
marriages. And it's important for us to have a vision for our family, because
That's right.
once
Yes.
abuse is displayed between a man or a woman in a relationship, our children suffer. They see this, they think this behavior is okay. And we have to train our kids that it's not okay. And if
Yes.
we're displaying this type of behavior, then we really need help.
That's right. That's
So-
right. And you touched on a great word there, vision. That's something our pastor was talking about
It is.
last week when
It
it
is.
comes to relationships and vision and a mission. And, the question herein lies, did they both have the same vision? And so, we definitely want to jump into that and get a little better perspective. And we have a special guest that's going to help us do that.
Wow.
Our lesson last week talked about the start of a relationship.
Yes.
And when you meet somebody, what are the qualifications?
That's right.
What is his vision or
That's
her
right.
vision?
Right. Yeah,
And
right.
how it relates to us and our vision. And the lesson was awesome. They talked about Rachel and Jacob
That's right.
and how they met and where they met.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, they actually met at a well, and Pastor gave this awesome demonstration or explanation of a well, meaning clear,
Clear.
meaning plain vision.
Yes.
She talked about that extensively.
Yes.
To write on
To
tablet.
write on a tablet.
Yeah, make it plain.
Make it plain.
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
references Habakkuk.
Yeah.
It was an awesome lesson.
Great. Well, ladies, why don't we get our special guest in here to
Yes.
help us
Okay,
with this
yes.
discussion?
Yes.
Special
I
guest.
have questions. Yes.
Wish we had a shoe cam like the Wendy show because your shoe game is always on point.
So is yours. Everybody's doing a great job. Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for having me. Glad I'm here. Get to sit beside my mommy. Beautiful.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, we know you were in the green room getting ready, but
Trying.
we were talking about several of today's topics, and we started off with Ebola and the big scare there.
Yes.
And how every time you turn on the TV, somebody has it.
Yes.
Oh no, they don't.
Yes.
Do they,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
and we just
Yeah.
wanted to get your perspective while you're here in this place, and we thank you for this opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, I created it for you guys. The
Yeah.
concept, and I think you guys are loving it. You
We
are enjoying it.
are.
I think you're doing exactly what it's designed to do, is discuss what we study at church and really have a great conversation and help your other brothers and sisters out with what you're learning and how God is changing your life. So the format is great. I think you're doing a great job in it. So if I could pop on anytime you need me, I'm here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we would try to get you on every weekend.
No.
but we know-
You guys are doing great. Don't let me mess you up. It's good.
Good. Well, talk to us
Well,
about
the Ebola. What did you guys say so far? It's a big deal.
Yes.
It's a really big deal. I think that as Christians, we have to have the right type of answer to Ebola. And so far, sometimes we can take too many different extremes. In Christianity as a whole, in the kingdom of God, we have way too many extremes. On one end, this is punishment. And that's an extreme that is not warranted in Scripture, because when it comes to punishment, if God was using this to punish someone, he would tell you what it is you did wrong and why he's punishing you, and he would warn you. The entire Old Testament does that. Anytime God punishes someone, he warns you, and what it's really doing is trying to change or correct you from something that is not pleasing to him, and he gives you not just one warning, but many warnings. We're studying that in the Old Testament. You're really going to see it when we begin to move into Exodus. Right now we're still in Genesis, but you'll see countless warnings and thou shalt not kind of situation, and you'll see his leading in that. And on the other extreme, so we have on one extreme, this is punishment to ungodly nations, which, who has the audacity to judge that?
Right.
That's an extreme view that's not warranted. And on the other end, we have the idea that that people, if you have enough faith, you won't get it.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's another extreme view, because what it really boils down to, even if you have faith and you get it, God can heal.
Yes.
If you have faith and you get it, your faith is not deterred by you dying, because dying with faith is the best thing that could ever happen to you.
That's true.
Yes.
So,
Well, Pastor, they were saying on the news that Ebola can now be used as a weapon. They're afraid that they're going to be bringing it into this country and just causing devastation. But the Bible tells us that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And I'm not saying that we should not be careful and wash our hands and steer away from the bed sheets or the towels or however it's being transmitted. But we should be prayerful and know that God's got us, and we don't have to live in fear. We don't have to be ruled by this disease and our actions as far as travel, as far as anything goes.
Definitely. Just to make sure that we clarify, we don't think it comes from bed sheets. It comes from the exchange of bodily fluids to another person's bodily fluid at the active stage when the person is showing signs. And being careful is key, and also not living by a spirit of fear is also key. I often tell people, the worst thing that can happen to you is death.
Yes.
And once you know in death you win, really,
Right.
take it to the extreme, realize you're going to win at the worst case scenario and live your life to the fullness.
Yes.
What would we do? How much more in our life would we accomplish if we weren't afraid?
Right.
A lot more.
How much more?
Yes.
Look, how much more would we accomplish if we were not ashamed of past sins?
Yes.
Do you understand? And
Yes.
Christ came to get rid of both of those.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Awesome.
So that we might have life and life more abundantly. So I think Ebola is definitely something. I think you guys mentioned when I was watching that you have to pray, continue to pray for those that are sick. Continue to pray that our president continues to send troops that will help in that epidemic.
Yes.
That other nations, I think in the last UN Council meeting, they were really discussing, the World Health Organization was really discussing sending more, getting other nations involved and sending more beds and equipment. So let's continue to pray in that and along those lines, so that more lives are not lost during this time,
Yes.
and families are not devastated.
Right.
Excellent.
Just to bring this on a more personal note, because I work in a hospital, and many people Christians do see sickness as a form of punishment. There's this young guy, he was in his 40s, diagnosed with MS and lost the ability to use his legs. It was such a tragic event. And talking to him, he believed that God made this happen because he was arrogant and prideful.
The young man
The
thought
young man, he thought
that lost his legs.
Yes, that because he was so arrogant and prideful when, before the illness happened, that God, allowed this to happen because he wanted to humble him. And talking to him was such a, it was such sadness. It was hard to minister to him because I'm like, the God wouldn't make this happen to you. And I know things happen in life, and he said he's growing close to God because of this. But even the Ebola situation, seeing that as a form of punishment from God. So it was great that you clarified that when God punishes you or chastises you, that he once gives you warning, and two, he states that he is punishing. Not saying that God was punished by MS, but I know a lot of Christians do think that.
Well, this guy's case, the gentleman you're talking about, is specific because that is his relationship with God. And if he feels that God has warned him and chastened him, and that he can see that this new situation that he has to live has humbled him, and he's grateful for that, then by all means, the will of the Lord is being activated. The Bible tells us that God will work all things together for our good.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it started off good.
Right.
It just means that God can work that for our good. So this is not to say that God intended for this to happen to this young man. In the course of events, good and bad happens to all. But God, with Christians, God will take the bad and work it for the good.
Right.
And that's what his promise is, because we love him and we're called according to his purpose. So that's a hard thing to minister to him. But if he's grown in God, I had another friend of mine once say to me, recently I was diagnosed with, what was it?
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease. And I had a friend in ministry say, oh my goodness, you don't deserve that. You of all people, that's just, and I said, why not me? Why not me? I cannot say that all of my actions in life have always been number one, that I've never made any mistakes. There are certain things that are consequences, certain things are unavoidable. My life has not been so perfect that I should not have a little bit of rain.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think finding a sweet spot in God, where we're not saying that faith is the absence or the belief of the absence of any pain, but faith is the belief that even in pain, God is with me and I can make it through it, and I'm going to be the better for it. Listen, the better for it.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The better for it. That's faith. Just dealing with it is not faith.
Yes.
Well, that's what I got. Okay. No, that's not faith. I will be the better for it is faith.
That's awesome.
Because that's what the Word of God promises, that he will work together those things for our good.
Thank you.
That's faith.
Sometimes God allows us to experience things to bring us to another level of spirituality. A lot of times our lifestyles are so demanding, we forget to pray, we forget to even bless our food sometimes. We're not mindful of spiritual things sometimes when we're so busy. It's only when God will allow things to happen that sit us down and make us think and make us pray and make us want to worship him because of our situation. Sometimes, I'm not saying God puts things on us, but he allows us to go through things. In fact, that's how we develop our testimonies. We testify to how God has brought us through this, or how I was suffering with this and God delivered me from that. So it's worked out for our better.
I think that's a great point too. I really do. I think it helps us to know God more. It all works out. It really does.
It does.
It really does.
It does. And one of the things that you were talking about, I believe, is really perspective, right? Knowing what's good, knowing what's bad, being able to identify God in something and identify if God is not in something.
Yes.
Reality shows.
Ooh,
That's another one of our
reality
one of our
shows.
topics.
Okay. Okay.
Clearly, giving us a vision. Some of us think, oh, it's good in entertainment, and then there's the thought of this isn't really a big deal. It's not affecting me. That's what they're doing. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
And we get pulled into that. What is your thought
On reality
shows?
I think overall, television, and media, it shapes our worldview. No matter how we try to avoid it, it gives us current views of life. whether they're real or fake.
Yes.
Now watch this. Do you guys remember the documentary on mermaids that Discovery Channel did? Does
Yes.
anybody remember that?
That
Okay.
was cool.
Okay.
I remember
Do you remember
that.
Do you remember the backlash from that? The
Yeah.
Discovery Channel, I think it was, did a documentary on mermaids,
Mm-hmm.
and they did it so well that people
People really thought they existed.
that they were real.
Yes.
But it was a spoof on documentaries.
Mm.
But because
Right.
the Discovery Channel has a history and a reputation for producing non-fiction material, no one anticipated that they would be doing mermaids. And look, I even had a young man come in my office last 2-3 weeks ago and ask me, are mermaids real? Because he saw the documentary and he was like, this was so real. I said, sweetheart, they even got backlash because we were used to them presenting truth, and now they're presenting an untruth so real that it's hard to distinguish the difference. Now watch this. Pixar Entertainment, the movie
Avatar.
Avatar, yes.
yes.
Nowadays, the goal of every movie that's sci-fi or action-based is to make things so extraordinarily big, right? And then make it look real.
Yes.
So now when you look at reality TV, okay, it's no different than any other television show except for the fact that it does not portray imaginative impossibilities. It portrays real life that is not really real.
Exactly.
You know, masquerading as real.
Right.
It's a complete Avatar. You know, there are no 7-foot, 10-foot giant blue creatures walking around with tails that can interact with horses. No, we know this. So, but now we have reality TV shows that portray a real person, all right, showing that this is real life, but it's not.
You know, it's amazing, Jewel, that you asked Pastor that question because Pastor doesn't watch much TV at all. And, you know, there's very few shows that she will even allow you to say, let's watch this together. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it happy? I'm not feeding that into my spirit.
That's
true.
And it's amazing that she just made that point because on the news recently they had an article where these children had stabbed one of their friends because of the fictional character Slender Man.
Yes, that's right.
And how children sometimes can't distinguish what's real and what's not real.
Right.
And it's just like with the reality shows, they're not real. They they say this is how this person is living, but they're not living like that.
You know, I think when it comes to adults, we're influenced slightly.
Yes.
We'll say slightly, okay, slightly. But children, teenagers, and a brain, from what scientists tell us, an adolescent is an adolescent until 21. Most times because that part of the brain that effectively makes decisions is not fully developed until around the age 21. So this means that what you're watching, you're deciding, the part of your brain that decides whether that is true, realistic or not is not even fully developed. And by 21, trust me, by 7, now kids are making decisions about their sexual preference. By 7, all right, 21, we're still trying to tell you, you're still not ready to make great decisions. That's why rent-a-car people don't, you know, you can't rent a car right now at 21. But I'm 21, we don't care. You can't rent a car right now.
Right.
You know, and because your decision-making ability is still being developed. So when it comes to television, my mother is right. I watch television for entertainment. One of the things I think I heard her mention in the green room is that people like it for the drama. Somebody mentioned drama.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
someone mentioned it.
Okay, someone, Glenda, mentioned that they like the shows for drama. In my line of work, I experience a lot of drama on a 24-hour basis.
Right.
I experience some of the things that are on television that actually happen to real life people. Some of the atrocities, the crisis, the drama of it all, marriages and lives destroyed, crisis and everything lost and restarting. That I don't want to watch TV where I have to be emotionally pulled because I might know someone who had to go through something like that, and it just relives it and my heart aches with them. So I'd rather watch some kind of cartoon, you know, something happy, something sweet, something nice.
A love story.
A love story, something beautiful, you know. And it's not just feeding my spirit, because even though that's true, I really don't want to feed my spirit a lot of crap. But on the other end, I want to be able to remain moldable in God's hands. And I think that's what we're missing with our kids. They can stab someone because they're so engrossed in television where murder and violence is so common that the value of life has changed. I mean, think about now how you look at sex based off of how often we see it on media versus how you would think about sex when you were younger, where you weren't allowed to watch it. Do you understand? When you weren't allowed to watch it, it was like, oh, you don't have on a shirt, you know. Now that you're allowed to watch it, you can watch it anytime you want. You're like, oh, that's just soft such and such. That's no big deal. You know, now look how your own mindset has changed now that you're allowed to view something. And what I like to do is I like to be able to say, God, I don't want that part of my heart unnecessarily messed with. I don't want that part of my brain I don't want images of death. And I am still to this day ministering and counseling people that have taken in so much WebMD and video shows on all kinds of diseases that if the doctor even hints at something, oh my God, I've got it. And they're panicking because they can just envision the cells dispersing and causing havoc. You have to be careful. The Bible tells us that we're supposed to think on things that are lovely and of kind or of good report. He gives us specific instructions that are beneficial to us on what we're to think about. I tell people all the time, you control your own thoughts. I know we like to think we can't, but we can. You can see that thought coming. Oh, I'm not going to get that. Shut up. Oh, I probably suck at. Hush it up. You can stop that thought mid-thought and switch it to something else. As a matter of fact, that's my job as a pastor.
That's right.
You call me, I talk to you, your thought goes from pastors all over to, oh, I feel better. You know, that's true. And it's true. It's true. That's what I'm designed to do. I'm designed to help your thoughts switch to the thoughts and the faith that you have.
But how much better are we feeling now that we're rightfully dividing the word, we're being taught, and we're going through lessons that we can actually stop and ask questions to our pastor and she will answer them. I mean, this is a rare opportunity, but it's a wonderful experience.
It absolutely is. And real questions that have to do with relationships.
That's right.
We've got some single women on this panel. Mother Hudson is married.
Not one of them.
Hello, Dad.
Married.
Happily married. Hello, Father.
He put a ring on it.
30-some years ago.
All right.
Awesome. But that kind of longevity, you don't see that often. You know, and unfortunately, we see a lot of the opposite really being portrayed in the media because, like you said, now it's about how bad is it?
Yeah.
How gruesome is it?
Yeah.
How horrible does it look?
Yes.
Okay, let's put it on TV. And
Right.
unfortunately, we've seen a lot of that.
Right.
And, you know, that brings us to our other topic, which was the situation in the sports world, which had everybody in the world weighing in on the situation with Ray Rice and Janae Rice. And then we watched that video and, you know, relationships.
You know, this is, it's interesting you guys using that topic. This is National Domestic Violence Awareness Week.
You got your purple.
Got my purple.
Yes.
Wearing my purple to represent that. I do think that's a topic that should be addressed and needs to be addressed to a certain extent.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I was just thinking about you in counseling. You've probably counseled those types of situations.
Definitely. Not only that, but I have a nonprofit that specializes in helping young women, single mothers that are battered and abused, and helps them regain their educational career and their educational track and their career goals. So we encounter that on many different levels. It's a tragic thing. It really is. I think it has of course we know it's anger. It's anger fed. It's control fed in terms of the actual act of violence. But overall, it really, if I had to say, where can we stop this? How can we stop this from happening?
Yes.
If I could really pick it, I would say it would have to be in our marital counseling and in our single counseling. How are we effectively talking to husband and wives about marriage, and how are we effectively preparing our singles? I can't tell you how many counseling sessions I've had with married couples who go into the marriage as Christians and swear that they think that as a Christian you should never get a divorce, and that should never happen, and that she has to take that abuse. That is not of God. It's not of God. And I say this because the only solution right now that we're offering for Christianity in terms of the measurement of a successful marriage is how many years you've been married.
Yes.
And it should not.
Yes.
There is another way to measure a successful marriage, and it's not how many years you stay together. And I've had people come to me and even with the connotation that, well, my pastor, my former pastor, or another pastor, or someone else I counseled that was a Christian said that, you know, we can do anything as long as we don't get a divorce, and it's okay to not be happy, just don't be divorced.
And don't
In a
do
marriage.
things to provoke him.
And
like,
don't do as if you would know
What's gonna set him
what
off.
could set off another human being that you have no control over. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And if you do, is that penalty worth it? I mean, we're looking at the Ferguson trial. We're looking at the Ferguson case in Missouri. We're looking at the gentleman whose window got smashed in with his children in the back seat. They got tased and drug out because there was a seatbelt violation. All of these are areas where we are not aware of whether your action has constituted that type of response.
Yes.
And there's no action that I think that a wife can do that will equate to getting knocked out unless she has knocked him out. And if he was knocked out, then how did he knock her out?
Right.
Would you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
So we have, and I think every man knows his own strength. Because I know my strength. I know what I cannot lift. Did you understand what I'm saying? So let's not try that. And but nevertheless, the idea, if I had to bring it to home, is that we have to stop judging a successful marriage by how many years you stay together, but rather understanding and identifying whether you and your husband are fulfilling the vision and the mission that God has for you.
And that's exactly what you've been talking
Definitely,
about in our study just recently. We've been talking about Jacob and Rachel
Yeah.
and
yeah,
the vision
yeah.
and the mission coming together.
Awesome. Yeah, that discussion that we've had is that when it comes to the well of water that Jacob met Rachel at, that particular word well, by definition in the original Hebrew is to make something clear, to make clear, right? But the root word, the root word of make clear, because you would think that means the clear water, is defining the water.
Yes.
But it's really defining the thing that holds the water, because it says to make clear as if writing on tablets. Right? So it's talking about the vision, like on Habakkuk. Exactly, Habakkuk 2 is just to say, it's saying to you, there is a vision on these walls, right?
Yes.
And that water is going to rush and pour out of that vision. So when you find Jacob coming to help Rachel, what is he doing? He's removing the thing that is stopping that living water from pushing against that vision and feeding her sheep. Because she was a shepherdess, and that will preach.
And she was on her mission.
And she was on her mission. She was on her mission doing the thing that she's called to do. And look at this. He was a shepherd as well, because he was the youngest in his family, right? She was the youngest in her family. Traditionally, it goes to the son, but Laban didn't have any sons. So it went to the daughter, the youngest daughter. And now he finds her both passionate about what they do, meeting each other at the same time. And I think if couples started with that foundation, husbands and wives having a clear-cut understanding of what their purpose is in God. Why are you and I together? What are we accomplishing together? Then I think there would be less strife. I think a man would never have to fight or feel as if he has to defend his reputation or protect his ego or his macho-ness against another woman, because she will congratulate him and appreciate him for the good that he does do, and he likewise will appreciate her for the good that she can do, and neither one will feel threatened.
Yes.
Neither one should feel threatened.
Pastor, you mentioned, Rebecca and Jacob, and Rebecca being a shepherdess.
Right.
That's, this whole lesson was incredible, because I'm finding her being in the same field as him, having to do the same things that a shepherd would do, especially when a sheep runs away. You told us that the shepherdess would sometimes break the sheep's legs and throw them across their shoulder and nurture them back to health, and they'll never run away again. I wanted you to, just talk a little bit about how that relationship between a shepherd and a sheep coincides with how God looks at us, his sheep, and how he...
Wow. Well, Christ is the chief of all shepherds. Okay? He is the shepherd. We as pastors are under shepherds, all right? And this particular example of Rachel, she is a shepherdess, which I love because it makes it easy for me to talk about it. The idea, as we discussed on last week, is that when it comes to shepherding, we're supposed to, as under shepherds of Christ, we're supposed to leave the fold if one sheep goes astray and we go after that one sheep, right? Everybody that's in the fold is good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And but that one sheep, and that's how God looks at it. We're always concerned, God, are you, am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Look, you're fine. You're in the fold. All right? Your stuff is going to get worked out. Don't you worry. You just lead. I will lead. You will follow. Your stuff's going to get handled. You're going to eat. You're going to get still water. You're going to get everything you need, right? All right? But that one sheep that is not in the fold, that is who God goes after. That's who he's searching for. That's who he's hunting for. He's looking for them. And me as a pastor, even as a female shepherdess, I think is interesting because you spend more time with the sheep that are away from the fold, that are thinking about leaving, that are contemplating giving up, that are injured and hurt, and you know that, and you're going after them to find their heart. Not just their person and bring their person into the building, but I need to find your heart. Bring your heart back. And in the process, unfortunately, God might do some breaking. That's what we discussed, that there are times when you go away from God, that he will break your legs as a shepherd and bring you back, nurse you back to health, so that you trust him and you feel that nurturing again, because apparently you went astray thinking that you knew how to find water for yourself better than he did.
Wow.
And that's really what you're saying. Anytime we do anything against God's will, what we're really saying is, I think I need this more than you understand that I need it. I think I know what's best. I think I can handle it from this point on. And that always causes us to go astray. And when you do that, he's like, a sheep knows my voice. And that's why you can put a whole bunch of sheep together, and every shepherd would be able to go hoo-hoo, and those sheep would come right to that shepherd. It was a way to separate them. So if the shepherd goes out, the shepherdess goes out and says hoo-hoo, and you still walking away, then he knows that you have not felt like you were nurtured, that you were cared for or provided for, because somewhere you thought you got to this green pasture on your own. So you get broken, and we use that to discuss even something that my senior pastor Howard Conine used to tell us all the time, that, and even in my training, that a shepherd should smell like his sheep. Because when you go break their legs, you have to carry them back to the fold. You drape them over your neck and you bear them and you carry them back to the fold and you nurse them back to health. So you should always be touchable. You should always be reachable. And, he really instructed us and continues. And that just rings true to my heart, that, you don't need 5 levels of ministers and organized elders before you get to the pastor. You should be able to call me, talk to me, and I have to know what's going on in their life.
And we know, yes, what you're saying, you hit the nail right on the head. That is the life that we've lived, and I was even going to go back as far as to say that when you talked about going astray, I think that thank God that his eye is on everybody and all of us, because we've all been in that situation. We've all been the one like away from the group. So I'm over here. This is it. We've all been there. So thank God he's so compassionate to bring us in, and thank God for a pastor like you that has that understanding. That you've been a part of that drawing in and getting the.
I've been out there going astray before. Unfortunately, it's a sad truth. Every person, male or female, has emotional needs. And anytime you don't feel like those emotional needs are being met, you're going to find a vice. You're going to find a replacement, and sometimes those replacements are not of God. And you thank God for, that's why I tell people, thank God for your pastors. Thank God for those that will call you and go, hey, I didn't see you in church today.
Or give you counseling.
Or give you...
We call it office hours.
Office hours.
Linda and I fight for time.
For office hours,
Fight for office time.
When service is over, we can sit there, we're like, are you going to, no, I'm first. No, I'm first. Fighting in the church. But that's okay to fight like that.
There's a line outside the office.
There is also the line outside my office, and I welcome that. I do. I think it is necessary, because sometimes I'd rather spend 10 to 15 minutes daily or weekly with someone rather than only speaking to them once a year in crisis. Do you understand what I'm saying? 10 to 15 minutes a week or 20 minutes to an hour every 2 weeks or a week is much better to me than only showing up at the funeral, only showing up when you're sick, only at this point now we have to handle the crisis, and I haven't had a chance to really, what happens is cater the message to you specifically. And that's because how many times have you come in the office And I tell you the exact same thing that I just preached on.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that rings true to the scripture we just looked at, because we all need someone that can really take what we're eating and really help us to remember it and digest it and apply it.
Yes.
I think we can do it in our setting because we do offer discussion, but sometimes the situations are personal. Do you know what I mean? And I just think it's part of caring. It's really just part of caring for your sheep, and it's creating disciples.
Yeah.
It creates disciples, and I think it's important.
And well, I think maybe one more question.
Okay, sure.
And I was thinking I'm gonna jump right in.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You have all the time to.
Just to kind of bring this thing home and just talking about one of the things when you were talking, I was hearing the word relationship. It's really a relationship between you and us
Yeah,
as part
it
of
is.
ReNew, and then even getting back to the relationship we've been looking at here. And one of the things you were talking about is the family dynamic and the vision for the family, the vision for the children, and the importance of taking the time and knowing where are we going and how we're going to do this. You're really big on families. We even take the time in our church where you will, you don't usher the kids out like it's done in a lot of churches. You say, come on down, front center. You get all the love, you get all the attention, and they get that word, they get loved on. Even last week you were teaching them how to worship.
How to praise and worship.
How to praise and worship. But
that was a workout.
fun. But that was really about show them the vision.
Yes,
Show them
yes.
this is how we do it. This is how we praise the Lord.
Yeah,
That's a part
definitely.
of the vision and the mission.
I agree. I think our vision statement here is a family of believers building the empire of Christ.
Yes.
And I also I think what I really am trying to do with God's help is bring our children to a place. I've seen in churches now that we have mega churches, and we have, not even mega churches, but just normal sized churches where the children and the teens are separate from the adults. And what I've noticed, because I've had the pleasure of serving in a couple of different churches, but one church, with my senior pastor, there are 3 or 4 generations in that church. And so with that type of dynamic, you have an opportunity, and they're of all races and color. You can still see what is common to all people and all generations. And then you can see what happens when you raise your children in church apart from their adults. Because I can't tell you how many times I've taken children, teenagers, to youth services, and they cry at the altar, and they're snotting, and they're crying, and they loving on Jesus. But if you bring them to church with their parents, they are stone cold, not moving. And it should not be that way. The children should be teaching the adults, because the Bible says, suffer not the children to come, and that we should have faith like children. So the children should be reminding the adults, oh my God, I need to trust God like that. And I need to love God like that, like Taylor or Elijah in our church, who learned so much and just spit out what they learned. Well, God says we should trust him with our money, and they spit it out, and they're so plain and it's so simple, and we should be like that. And then similarly, we should teach our children how to praise and worship. That's what we do. On last Saturday, like the kids are like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna sit here. And we have to teach them. You jump and you dance and you throw your hands up and you do whatever your heart feels like doing in praise and worship. And I'm trying to retrain the adults who have become so aware of the people beside them that they're no longer aware of what their heart really wants to do in God. If you want to bow. If you want to spin, if you want to jump. Do what your heart feels in God, because at that moment, that's the only part of the service that's just about him. Everything else is for us.
The elders used to say, if you're ashamed of God down here, he's going to be ashamed of you up there.
That's true.
You have to remember to praise. And don't be afraid to praise. Your relationship, your praise with God is between you and God, and it shouldn't matter who's near you.
And I wish we could get more of that. More of that. But excellent. It really is about relationship and family, and understanding the vision and the purpose of your family, and setting that in motion. Even if you're a single mother, or a single father, what is the vision that God has for my family, and what steps can we take to get there? It has to be more than just getting a better job. It has to be more than having a better house or a better car. There has to be more to your life than just acquiring things. God is a God of creation. He created us in his image. We should be a people of production, not consumption. And I know that because my first degree was in consumer economics.
So, Pastor would tell us or remind us a lot of times that the children are the future of our church.
Yes,
They're the
right.
yes,
future.
they are.
My nephew visited the church for the first time last week, and our pastor was talking about fitness and how we have to be aware of our bodies, and we have to get our bodies in shape and eat more healthy and just think more healthy, and don't take the closest parking space at the
This
store.
is true. I did say that,
And,
didn't I?
and we went to the store, and he says, Aunt Debbie, don't park close. You need to park far away, like Pastor said. And it's amazing that the children do listen when they're in that environment.
Yeah,
And they learn.
they do. They do. It's something we're working on. You know, you guys know, some of you are training with me in that run that we're doing. So we are focused on being a better fit for the kingdom. And our children are learning so much when we're not aware. They're listening. They're taking it in. And like I shared with you guys, by the time these kids are 4 through 7, you know, by the time even our 11-year-olds, by the time our children are 20 or 30, we should be at our prime. I mean, our best as a church. And they are going to be running it, not us.
Yes.
We will be on the decline going, you better go ahead. And then they are going to be running it. Now, why would I want children running the church that I kept separate from the church? And that's what happens because when it's time to transition, I've seen this in churches. I've even read books on Who Stole My Church. It's a great book if you ever have to study how to bridge generations within the church. You know, when you look at that, it's because now we're having such a hard time bridging them because we kept them separate from normal services. So then when it's time for them to take over, we're surprised. We're surprised that it's brand new. Where did this smoke come from? Why do we have lights like this? I don't understand. Well, you let them do it over there. You didn't bring them over here. So now when they're doing what you've allowed them to do over here, it doesn't resonate with you. But if you grow it together, and that's the idea, is that we're trying to make sure that ReNew Worship Center and all the churches that will stem from us and all the churches that are fellowship partners with us, that it will always transition with the generation. It will continue to transform. Not the basics, not the Bible, but the method will easily and seamlessly transform with the generation. And not necessarily have to stop, start.
So that means come out and visit.
That's right.
Bring your children.
That's right.
Don't use babysitters as an excuse. Bring them with you.
Definitely. We have awesome children instructors right now. We're really looking on narrowing down a really great children's team. So if you're interested in working with children, just shoot me an email and we'll go through the necessary procedures. But right now we have a beautiful curriculum. I love it. It keeps them active. You know, I handpicked it myself. So, you know, they get popcorn and cookies and, you know, you guys, they do all kinds of activities from this. It's for every age group. It's for visual and audio.
It's excellent. It's so good. Sometimes I'm like this.
What are the kids doing? They come out with,
go back there for 5 minutes?
they come out memorizing a scripture, you know,
Yes,
and all the ones that
that's
work
fun.
with them, they do a great job with that.
Yes.
They really do.
That's
I
great.
love that the vision for our church extends to our children.
Yes.
You know, and we even do where they will do a review with us because we try to synchronize what we're learning and what they're learning. So they start off with us.
Yes.
We all do our review together, and they lead us in our review, and then they go back and they break it down even more so with all of the kids.
And that goes back to the vision again, and
Definitely.
just now taking it to a recapping.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of going over some of the things, but I did want to say that takes us back to the vision, because if the children are learning what their parents are learning, then it's in the conversation on the way back from church
Yes.
and at home, and then as we're going
Like
to
mother
school. And
Mother
then,
Ed said, when you're going to the store, it's it's constant.
It's a continuous.
I had a parent last month record her children giving her a consultation on money. And they could recite just about every
Great.
lesson we learned on the 10 basic Bible
That's right.
principles.
Wow.
They could
That's
recite those and tell their mom. And I encourage parents, really make sure that your children are somewhere where they are learning the Bible with you.
Yes.
With you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
not separate. That way you don't have a double workload. You
Right.
understand what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
I gotta talk to you about what you learned, and I gotta go over my own study. You know,
Yeah.
right now we can both do it together. We can talk about it together, and your children will really spur you on. You know,
Yes.
I'm gonna park further so I can be healthier.
So great. So we just talked about vision.
Yes,
And how
yes.
important that is. The focus. being focused on what God's focused
Yes.
on.
Yes.
And identifying that and being able to recognize that and sticking with that, not being
Definitely.
distracted by the fear tactics,
Yeah,
not being
sure.
distracted by the drama.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And our last one, would you say, would it be in the area of just trusting God in,
Yes.
in all that we do in
Yeah,
relationships? And,
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a lot of discussion regarding relationships and singles
yes.
and married folk and the difference between the two and how to prepare. And it really does boil down to trusting God, that just be reborn in Him, be born
Absolutely,
again. in
reborn.
Him.
You get, and that's what you're getting here. You're being reborn.
Yeah.
At ReNew Worship
Yeah.
Center. We so enjoyed having you here.
Thank you.
Bringing the
No,
word.
thanks for having me, guys. Great questions. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Great questions, great dialogue.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think we're all growing and
Yes.
having a good time. It's like girl
Absolutely.
talk about the Lord.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
Well, we want to welcome you again. We want to tell you, come on out to our
Come on
church
out.
on
Yeah.
Saturday nights
Yeah.
at 7 p.m. and be on the lookout because we will be changing our service schedule soon,
Yes,
very
yes,
soon.
very
We're very
soon.
excited about that. But in the meantime, come on out Saturday nights at 7, and we look forward to seeing you. And let's close this out, ladies, by saying take care. And you've been watching the ReNew
New view.